Welcome to the TLT Movement Podcast, a podcast for tomorrow's leaders today. In this episode, we have Elev8Life founder, Dr. Andrea Hazim.
Anything challenging is going to be hard. But so what? Hard could be the new fun.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Who's gonna carry the totes? Endeavor to persevere.
If you want to be a good leader, you have to understand human nature.
I never look back. It distracts from the now.
And last night was an amazing night. We just got done doing our second Elev8Life Nights.
Yes.
Now, what is Elev8Life Nights?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I feel so blessed to be here today on the podcast and to be doing this kind of work. So I wear my blessed shirt. I am so blessed.
She came prepared.
Yeah, and it's about being blessed for being a blessing. So that's what I would really like to see. And the reason why I started Elev8Life Nights is so that people can grow up. You know, did you notice last night people never heard of the term EQ or emotional quotient?
Right, yeah.
You know, we don't think about our lives and our worlds in terms of the internal mind actually has an intelligence level. And so my goal is to raise the bar so we have a society of people that really know how to be serving leaders, preferring others, that it's not just selfie nation. It's all about me. It's all about me. What about me? And how their life will actually affect others. There's a ripple, like when you throw a stone in water and it, you know, everything we say and think and do affects others. And I really want people to be emotionally mature enough to understand that and care. So that's the goal. Oh, and also to turn the hearts of the parents to the children and the children to the parents. Because as you know, we've been working with young adults for about 7 or 8 years. And every year we hear the parents say, when are you going to do this for the adults? And I said, okay. So early this year, I really felt it so strongly impressed on me that it's time to do some programming for the parents, especially the parents of our students and our alumni, but not just our people. Like, so obviously other people are coming who have never had a child in the program. We had some newlyweds. We had some pre-married, engaged people that were smart enough to come and get this kind of content. So,
And let's hear what they had to say.
yeah.
Something that Elev8Life Nights have done for me personally is help me to look at myself and look inward at my personality, using the Tall Trees assessment, and then also how that affects other people around me through relationships with significant others, with my family, close friends, even in the workplace.
Give me the opportunity to exercise some self-awareness, to know that my spouse is very different to me and responds differently to circumstances in the way that I do, and that it's enabled me to be far more patient, far more understanding, far more compassionate, and to understand that she doesn't need to stop what she's doing and be like me. I need to be more accommodating to her and far more understanding to the way God has made her. And it's definitely improved our marriage in a whole lot of ways, and it's helped with communication, and there's been a lot of growth in the both of us. We're both owning up to responsibility a lot more, and yeah, it's been fantastic. I recommend this to anybody and everybody. Married, single, go for it.
I really got to see how it would be applicable to myself in all relationships, as well as like friendships, my relationship with my husband as well. And particularly what I enjoyed was when we spoke about the fears and then our response mechanisms. And it was just really interesting to me to see how your fears are related to your responses and how the two tie together, and you know where your actions stem from and what you can do to improve in those situations. So I really loved the whole session overall.
So I think once you're able to shine a light on those reactions, you can start to think about ways that you can change them and have more healthy reactions so that you can have healthier relationships. And I think that everyone in the world could really use some of that.
So yeah, it goes to show that even, you know, the stuff that we teach at TLT Con to these teenagers, adults can use it too.
Yeah. It's really content for adults.
Right.
But we're training the young people and treating them like they're adults. Because they're young adults.
Yeah.
They're not kiddos.
Absolutely.
I mean, they'll always be somebody's kiddo, but I just feel like when I was young, I wasn't respected at all. I know you have to earn respect, but I really never did anything to be disrespected. And I felt like my parents didn't have the tools of personal growth and development, so they didn't understand. It was a culture like kids are seen and not heard, and you know, I'm the parent, you'll just obey blindly, and could never say what you thought at all. So I think I'm hyper the other direction to tell young people that they matter and their voice matters. So.
Yeah, I mean, my parents always held a high expectation and would talk to us like adults, and I felt like it made us grow up quicker and fall into that expectation.
Yes, and there's such low self-worth in the world. You know, the greatness I see in you, how we do that at TLT. It's an amazing activity where you actually intentionally tell somebody something amazing you see about them. And it doesn't even have to be something you truly know, like you've known them all these years. Like it could just be something you noticed that day, like, you know, you have a really nice smile or whatever. And we've heard students say, wow, if a stranger can say nice things to me and believe in me, and my own parents, my own family doesn't say these kinds of things to me, maybe I could dare to believe it could be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
So what is different about these Elevate8Life nights compared to what we do?
Well, they're kind of a snippet from the TLT conference, as the parents have wanted to experience it. So we've created a very special night where it's experiential. You know, it's not just a lecture where you're sitting there listening to somebody. You're interacting with the material. You're interacting with the facilitator. You're interacting with each other. And that's not something people are used to. You know, you think about it, you go to a seminar, the speaker speaks, and that's that. They may ask, there may be a Q&A time where you can ask a question. But to say your feelings, to say your breakthrough moment, to say something where we say you're the teacher in the moment, I think that really empowers people, because I believe there's a book and a speaker in everybody. You know, I'm famous for putting a mic in people's hands.
Right.
So, and I think people, they get a little nervous, true, but they feel very honored. And wow. And then when they see themselves speaking to a room full of people that they never thought that they could do, and the other people are like, yes, me too, it's really very powerful, don't you think?
Absolutely, yes.
You know, like last night, we had a 12-year-old stood up, raised her hand courageously, and because I said, can we share what nugget you're taking away? What did you get out of this session? And she was amazing. She said, I realized I'm not alone.
I told him in the car, I'm not alone. And I was ecstatic. I was so happy. I mean, this entire event just made me feel so good about myself.
And I realized that everybody's different, but there's different personality types. And then she realized about the core fears that she never saw, that her emotions came from somewhere. The emotions to her were so powerful, and they were like these things that happened to her, but she didn't understand that they were stemming from a trigger being pushed or a fear that came up in her. And I said, wow, you're 12 and you learned this.
Isn't that amazing?
She was teaching the whole room. I said, you know, I had to be 40 to learn these things, so good for you.
Yeah, it was so awesome. She actually stood up twice, and she was so eloquent on the microphone. I think she inspired everybody.
She really did. I'm so impressed. And that's why we've been working with the young people too, because if they can catch it at such a young age, but we can't leave the parents behind.
Right.
It's never too late to learn.
All right, so let's take this opportunity to maybe see something that we taught at the Elevate8Life night so that you guys can get an idea of what it was like.
How do you show up emotionally in the world? Are you mature? Or are you immature? And there's emotional stages of development. We talked about that last Elevate8Life night. I'm going to touch on that really quick tonight. So here's how the fear dance goes. It's like round and around and around, round and around. We have a little crisis. I get hurt. I didn't get what I want. Then I go into fear, and then I react, and then you get hurt. And then you didn't get what you wanted, and then you go into your fears, and then you react. And around and around and around it goes. Anybody relate? Right? Do you want to know how to stop that crazy cycle? Well, I'll tell you, it's not easy. You have to be willing to look in the mirror, take personal responsibility, and my famous quote. Everybody say it. Why do I say that? Athletes know that well. They're like, bring it. Another practice, another whatever, and then they get the accomplishment. But we don't apply that to emotional quotient and relationships. We let ourselves off the hook, and we'll have our behaviors. Walk away, slam a door, curse, belittle somebody, push their buttons, they push you back. That doesn't really work too well in relationships. How about in parenting? Anybody parented by somebody like that? And it's not like the person's evil or mean or bad. It's just that they're immature. And maybe they're stuck somewhere along the way. Maybe they didn't have the tools for personal growth and development. Maybe they didn't have a spiritual life where they can grow in the fruit of the Spirit. So this is not about blaming people. If anybody we're going to do, right, when you go like that, what do they say? There's 3 pointing back. There's 3 pointing back. We have to take the plank out of our own eye. And that's what tonight is about.
Wow, so that was some pretty powerful stuff. Now, did you come up with this all yourself? Where are you getting this content from?
That's funny. Well, life experience has taught me a lot. And of course, you learn things along the way. One of my favorite tools is, and I see it's so effective when we do marriage counseling and things like that, it's called the DNA of relationships. And I loved it so much that I sought out getting certified from the Gary Smalley Institute. And so this book, The DNA of Relationships, has an amazing tool in it that we used last night. And there's many, many tools from the Smalley Institute that now I'm certified to teach. But one of them is about getting to the heart and identifying your core fears and the trigger behaviors that happen when those fears come up.
What's the importance of knowing your core fears? That sounds kind of scary.
Well, you know what? Let me read a few of them. Why do we want to know core fears? Well, you saw Marie's aha moment, that she realized that emotions aren't just this, roller coaster to take you away and you have no control. And people do not realize that they have control of their emotions and themselves. They want to blame other people. Like one of the things we highlighted last night was people will typically say, you made me
angry.
So angry. Yeah. You made me, whatever.
Right.
Fill in the blank. As opposed to, I feel sad when you XYZ.
Sure.
And coming from that place where you're taking responsibility for your feelings. And we don't realize that that's actually what's happening. But those fears really are very powerful. I'm going to read you a few of them that came from the assessment. And we did a fun activity where everybody took a Post-it note and they wrote their 3 top core fears and put them over on one flip chart, and then 3 trigger behaviors and put them on the other. And while one of the other speakers was speaking, I went over and I did a little tally. And it kind of breaks my heart, but one of the ones, the top rated fear, I'd say like the most people checked this one, was being disconnected. Disconnected. They mean in relationships. They mean being alone. So we all become emotionally detached or separated when we're in conflict or when we're in fear, and we feel cut off from other people. And not just when a relationship is broken, but if you've never found that in the first place, you look at society and young people today, what are they going to? They're going to all kinds of things to fill that gap.
Oh, yeah.
That you can't fill with anything other than getting your needs met. And there's lots of needs we have. Things like safety and security and compassion and love and understanding. And when those needs don't get met, we go into fear. So disconnected, feeling like a failure, that was another one. So many people feel like a failure, or they're afraid to feel like a failure. So when that comes up in a relationship, like let's say we're talking about something and you clearly are not happy with something I did. And I have this fear. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. Or I'm afraid to be a failure. Like, what could I do to fix this?
Right.
Because I don't want to lose this person. And I don't want to lose my connection with them. So, oh my gosh, you see? And that could cause me to act a certain way. The way I act, those trigger behaviors could really trigger you. And then your core fears, and it's this crazy, crazy dance. They call it the fear dance.
The fear dance.
The fear dance, right. So we redefined, gave some new dance moves to not go into that fear dance, but just to say some of the other ones. A fear of being ignored, a fear of being insignificant. That's why I love lifting up the young people, because they're not often told how significant they are and how important they are, invalidated.
Right.
You know, what you have to say, you're a kid, what do you know? Or that's not true. That's not true.
Or you don't have enough followers on Instagram, so you're not
gosh.
significant, you're not validated.
Yes. Right? You're defective.
Right.
That was a big one. Look at all and I didn't even finish the assessment. Defective.
Wow.
Something's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? And you know how many people say, what's wrong with you? Think about that. I don't know if your parents ever said that to you. I don't remember if my parents said that to me, but I hear a lot of people say that to people. What's wrong with you? That's like a program you're putting in the person. Oh, there's something wrong with me, where it becomes a fear. So you see how this becomes, and then let's talk about some of the behaviors that happen.
Because of the fears.
So let's just say I identified that, okay, I have this fear. I have a fear of being worthless, right? So how might I act when I feel worthless? I might withdraw. I might escalate and get loud. I may try harder. Oh, if I'm a failure, if something's wrong with me, if I do more, then maybe I'll have the acceptance. Maybe this will all go away because I'm just not enough. You know, and on
I feel
and on.
that one.
Yeah, negative beliefs, blaming. Well, what about this?
Right.
Back and forth and back, tit for tat. Oh my goodness, exaggeration, tantrums.
Oh yeah.
There's so many low EQ humans because we haven't been trained. That's why we're offering this kind of training. And it's just really a practice. You know, nobody wants to have these behaviors that don't feel good to yourself or others, and nobody wants to have the fears that are behind them.
Totally. And it all starts with the education to actually know, why are you going into this reaction? Because a lot of people, they just live, you know, they don't understand why. Like Marie last night, she was like, she was mind blown because she's like, oh my gosh, I thought I was fearless. I didn't know I had fears. And I just thought these things just happened.
Yeah.
But now I actually know, like, oh, I do fear being abandoned. So I act out in this way. It's like.
And then your loved ones actually have a way to assess what's going on. I know for a parent, we'll see a behavior and we don't like the behavior. It's annoying. Or maybe your spouse, they have a behavior and you're like, and you know, you can't discipline them like a child.
Right.
A child, you could try to discipline it away. But really, like, you know, that I'm a chiropractor nutritionist, and I always think in terms of holistic health and not necessarily always masking a symptom.
Right.
And this is similar. So if the fire's burning and there's smoke coming up, you could wave away the smoke, but the fire's still burning. And it's the same way with behaviors. You could discipline a behavior like a child being withdrawn. Maybe they're not feeling safe. Maybe they're feeling totally invalidated or disrespected. Who knows what? Maybe they're being bullied at school and you don't know. There's so many things these young people are plagued with. I mean, social media is horrible, the things that happen there, and the parents don't even know.
Right.
You know, so we can't just treat the behavior. We have to take a step down, think, reflect, pray, and say, wow, why is this person acting this way? And have a great conversation. Like, I noticed you're doing this, you know, and it doesn't feel good for me. I'm sure it doesn't feel good for you. Like, what's going on? That's a whole different way to handle a bad behavior.
Totally.
With maturity and love, compassion. I think the world needs more of that. Agreed.
So last night, I think it was really powerful when you were doing that exercise where you're talking about the 3 doors. Can you expound upon that a little bit?
Well, when people don't feel safe, there's mechanisms that come up, kind of like a trigger behavior. I see that they protect, they deflect, and they define. Protect, the walls come up, you know, like I'm secluded here. That's an obvious one. Deflect, oh, they're going to rationalize. Oh, it's your fault.
It's your fault, yeah.
You know, not me. But define, that's not something that we consciously realize we do.
Right, it's that fact meaning gap. So when something happens, that's like a fact.
Yes.
We make a meaning out of it.
That's right.
And most of the time that meaning is not necessarily accurate. And we could live our entire lives believing that when, you know, my parents screamed at me, it meant that they hate me.
Exactly.
When in reality, it just meant that they loved me and they were trying to discipline me. They were trying to do all they could
Yes.
to help.
So why, think about that, why do we do that? Why do we go to the negative and define ourselves in a way that's going to leave ourselves completely unempowered and making poor choices? Like, I'll tell you an example from my life that I shared last night. My parents were divorced when I was 6, and my dad got married 3 more times. As a little girl, I was the oldest, and my dad was a ballroom dancer, and he was like Prince Charming, you know? And to do that, and I never met my stepmothers. She would just kind of come home with like, here's your new stepmom. And it was like a stab in my heart from Prince Charming, like, how could you do this to me? And it was terrible. I mean, among many other things that went on. So I remember learning this for the first time, and the facilitator saying, so tell me something that happened in your life. And I said, well, you know, my parents got divorced and my dad got married 3 more times. It was terrible, blah, my whole little story. And, you know, at some point he came back around and said, so what did that mean? I'm like, I don't know. There's supposed to be a meaning. Wow. Well, let me think about that. And I'm standing in front of a room full of people, like, you're like on the spot. Everyone else sees it but you. And I'm like, well, you know what? I think I made it mean that I'm not worthy of having a nice relationship with a great guy like I have now, thank God. But so I really defined that no nice guy would like me. What do you think happened? Self-fulfilling prophecy. I attracted the wrong guys, picked the bad guys, physical abuse, things like that. All because I told myself I'm not worthy because of something that happened in my life. Come to find out, the real meaning was my dad got married 3 times after my mom. And that's it.
Simple as that.
Nothing else attached. But I was immature and I didn't understand. And I didn't know my self-worth. You know, so from here on out, hopefully that's something new you've never seen before. Choose wisely.
Yes, and we'll cut to that clip right now.
Choose wisely.
So which door will you choose? Now this door has a big plus sign. That's for all the glass half full people, that they're going to take it positive, no matter what it is. And the negative sign, that's the glass half empty. Like, oh, I can't believe they said that. I'm so offended. They're so rude. Doesn't matter what you say, that's what they're going to hear. It's a choice. And then this one's kind of like neutral. They don't really care. It just went over their head. Like, oh, did you say something? Oh, they couldn't even repeat back to you what you said because it really wasn't registering. You know what I'm saying? So I could say something to you, and depending on what you choose, you may go, oh, wow, you know, and you're going to leave yourself feeling good about me and you, and you're going to leave the conversation and go, okay, you know, like it's your life was enhanced. Even though maybe the person didn't mean it that way, you could still find the silver lining somehow. Or, like I said, the negative version or the other version. Now, when I learned this some years ago, I was amazed at myself of how I was choosing certain things that I would hear or I would see. And it also goes along with things that might have happened in your life.
So I think Elev8Life Nights is a great addition to what we are doing here with Elev8Life and TLT. You know, we have our annual conference. Now we've got these almost like monthly classes for adults and families. And so
mini cons.
Yes, mini conferences. It's awesome.
Mini adult cons.
And so where do you think we're going from here? What do you think is next? How can these people that are listening to this podcast right now, if they're interested in this, get involved?
Well, always you can go to our website, which I know you'll put it up at the end of the episode. On our events page, you'll always see our next one will be in February. So I'm excited. And we will have, it won't just be me speaking. There'll be guest speakers. I always try to put a little collection. Like the last 2, we've had 3 people speak, just so people could experience a lot of interesting information. Because every presenter has a different way and a little bit different piece of the content. So we may even branch into doing like mini weekend conferences.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Really, my heart, this is what I would love. I'm dreaming out loud. I would love to see family conferences. I mean, not little ones, but teens and parents.
Sure.
And it could be other adults too that don't have children, you know, couples, whatnot. But really like bridging the gap between the generations. That's such a desire of my heart, to see honor and respect restored. Healthy communication restored.
Yes,
that's my heart.
I actually interviewed a family that came last night, and my goodness, they said that you know what? I don't even need to paraphrase. Let's just show that clip.
I never understood why, for example, my mom was like that or my dad was like this, and now I see it. It's exactly how their personality and like way of life is built, and mine is exactly how mine is built. So I would like to get them in the picture.
For me, the biggest one was to realize that certain things that I thought he is doing just to be mean to me, turns out that he was doing it just because of his box personality versus my palm personality. Like, for example, I would hate schedules, and he would ask me a very detailed schedule of what am I doing this week or throughout today. I don't know what am I doing. Like, it's going to come to me. It's like I'm going with the flow. And how do I know? How can I possibly know, you know? And every time he would speak about the schedule to me, I would think that he's just being extremely mean and he's really pushing my buttons because he knows it's my button. He hates me. He just tries to show me that he hates me. And now I know that it was just like him, like asking for help, you know, like help me to structure my life better around you guys, to help you guys better, you know. Like.
What a revelation on our different personalities. And this month has been such a blast because it's mellowed out. There aren't the conflictions that we had before because we understand. The problem comes up, it's just handled differently. And tonight was even more information on how to handle it better. It's awesome.
And then even at the end of the night, I saw them. I didn't get it on camera, but he was like, you know, we haven't kissed in a long time. And then they kissed. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
Aww.
So yeah, it's
a healing moment.
Yes, it really is. It's really healing families. It's I love what we do because it really is interactive. It's not like you're just sitting in a classroom and then you write down some notes and you go home and you kind of forget everything because you were bored or half asleep, and then you don't ever review the notes. It's like we're interacting, we're doing physical things that, I don't know, I feel like it just sticks in your mind a lot more.
Of course, because when you put your senses into it, and it's not just your eyes, but you're writing it, you're getting up, like when we did the sticky notes.
Right.
And people got up and they had to go to the area of the room, and then they saw what other people wrote.
Right.
Wow, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person. And everybody has this going on. I don't care how mature you are, how great your marriage is, how bad it is. We all have it going on. They're getting to that maturity level. I don't think it'll ever disappear. We just get quicker and more intentional of how to deal with it, so we're not tearing down our relationship.
Right.
Which is, a fruit of the spirit of self-control. That is a muscle that has to be developed.
Oh my gosh, I feel so blessed to be a part of all this because, I live with you kind of right now. Yeah. And so it's like,
He's a son.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting a crash course every day, and it's really quite awesome because I really feel like after what's been going on in my life, like not worthy of love, not worthy of being respected, not good enough, feeling like a loser. And it's like, this could go on for years, for decades.
You got new dance moves.
Totally. I could have dragged this on. I see so many people where they have been living with this for 20, 30 years, and it's like, that's even harder to get out of. And so I feel so blessed to be a part of all this. And
think about little Marie, what she said.
Yeah.
She thought her dad was doing XYZ to hurt her.
Right.
That's an interpretation.
Totally.
And had she not had last night to bring it out into the open to discuss it in a safe environment, where would she go? Young people today, not just young people today, I mean other generations as well, are cutting, they're harming themselves, they're self-medicating with all kinds of things, not just substances, all kinds of things, shopping, cooking, eating, porn, drugs, cutting, anything that will take away the pain.
Right.
Because there is fear, and there's pain associated with, when we're afraid, we go into fight or flight.
Right.
We go inward. Instead of going outward for help or prayer, we go inward like, oh.
It doesn't just hurt us, it hurts other people too. We're doing damage.
Of course.
When we do that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for wanting to talk about this today.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
We could talk all day. Such a great topic.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested to maybe come to the next Elevate Life Nights or attend one of our conferences, you're interested in this type of emotional development and just understanding, go to our site and see when the next event is. Maybe come on down and experience it for yourself.
And send your teens in the summer.
Yes, the TLT conference. We have people come from all around the world, from multiple countries. It's awesome.
Yes.
So, and we have funding assistance programs too. So if it's money that's holding you back, don't let that be a factor, please. So
That's
if you're interested,
a whole other podcast
that's
topic
a whole other
too.
podcast.
Oh my gosh, about the money that I didn't have to spend in therapy because I learned these kinds of tools.
Amen, sister. All right, until next time.
Bye.
Generation.